Kathy Hayden. Let's give her a warm welcome. Thank you, thank you.
Let's do a little high for you, huh? Yep. Yes, ma'am.
All right. I just got to be mayor. I don't know how to push the button yet. Just so you know a little bit about me, I've not met some of you. I am Kathy Hayden. I am the mayor of Sumner. Sumner's a small town, so I'm going to keep mine small, not like Puyallup. I love Puyallup. So I ran a small business. I know what it's like to run a small business. Sumner is a small town. We've got a ton of small businesses. I was a barber for 43 years, and I love people. If any time I can talk to people, that is my thing. I just love people. I got to be the mayor. I spend most of my time learning, the first year, learning how it is to run a city. I am the luckiest girl in the world. I've got the best staff, and I have people everywhere. I'm having a blast. And everybody in here that knows me knows that if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. I'm having a blast, I'm having fun, and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to turn it over to my city administrator, Jason Wilson.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming out today. First off, I got to hand the city of Puyallup. I'm listening to your presentation thinking, oh my gosh, I was going to say that, so I'm crossing out everything. But honestly, I think it's amazing how these two cities have come together and they really complement each other. Puyallup is a wonderful, obviously 4 times the size of Sumner, great city, has amenities that Sumner, quite frankly, will never have and probably should never have. That being said, we have a lot to offer next door with one of the largest employment centers in Pierce County. Over 17,000 jobs, if you weren't aware, just in our manufacturing industrial center, which is just an amazing amount of jobs. But with all of those jobs also comes all the headaches, right? If you've driven up Center Valley or East Valley or West Valley, there's a lot of truck traffic. So our council is really putting a lot of effort to make sure that we provide a good environment for those businesses. You know, sometimes people say, well, Puyallup and Sumner, they always compete, right? Who's better? I don't think we compete. I've been with the city for 15 years now. I really enjoy the partnership that we have with them, with the Chamber of Commerce, our Main Street Association, which is sitting over here. We couldn't do it without our businesses. And, it's amazing. It amazes me every day what we're able to accomplish. Figure out how to do this. So Warren's going to go into some more detail on a lot of these things, but just to hit some high points. You know, the state of the city, it's strong. Things are going really well right now. Business development remains strong. We have a lot of new small retail and also some new commercial development, including new large employers. I don't know if anybody is with Tarragon here. I haven't seen any Tarragon, but we have, Tara, you're not with Tarragon. Excuse me. Oh, there they are. We have a Seaport Alliance going on up on the north end with some great employers, including Nordstrom, Nespresso, Helly Hansen, good warehouse paying jobs. We also have residential growth. You'll see in a moment we have a lot of multifamily development that's in the pipeline right now. Permit averages. So about 3 years ago when I was here, we talked about reorganizing our permit staff with the goal of ensuring consistent and timely permit reviews and helping people get to yes. Sounds a lot like what Jeff was saying and what Steve was saying. I think we're meeting that goal. On the screen here, you can see what our current review times are. Our averages for single-family residential are 32 days, commercial projects are 107 days, and commercial tenant improvements are 45 days. The goal is really get people to yes. And if you have a question about anything permitting, our staff is there to assist you and walk you through the process. And then transportation and utility. You know, Sumner's growing, just like Puyallup. We are extremely busy. We're investing in infrastructure to protect our community into the future. We currently have 48 projects with a valuation of over $250 million that we're currently working on either through design or construction. Many of those are going into construction in the next 2 years. And these projects really help sustain and grow our community. Like you, we are a business. We've had 33% staff turnover since the beginning of 2020. We have 125-ish employees, so that represents quite a number of employees leaving the city. Most of those were due to retirement, career transitions, either promoting or moving out of the area, or lifestyle choices. And I assume, like many of you, we have challenges finding employees. It's a very difficult labor market, making sure that we can pay our employees appropriately. And we also have, I don't know if anybody else sees this, people don't show up, right? You invite them to interviews, they ghost you. It's like, would have never done that, but that's what they're doing nowadays, right? And then expectations, everybody wants to work from home. Some jobs that works, but typically not full-time, definitely not in a service industry like government. We want our people to be invested in the community that they serve. So we've lost a number of applicants who just say, you know what, if I can't work from home full-time, I'm not willing to work there. So, but we think it's important enough that we are sticking to our policy. Last year, our council adopted its new strategic priorities, and this was in line with our budget process. Each priority has policy objectives that are below it, and they really largely focus on ensuring that Sumner remains a great community while managing the growth impacts and ensuring public safety. So many of those policy objectives focus on that. Also, I don't know about you, but I don't think most people like to read a 250-page budget document. While it's very interesting, it's not exactly the easiest read. We did do something new this year. We came out with a budget in brief, and we do have a limited number of these copies. They're sitting over on the, I believe they're on the free table, and they're also available on our website. But what this document does is it really breaks down the budget into something that's digestible. Where does the money come from? Where does the money go? And what strategic priorities are we accomplishing? On the back is our strategic priorities, by the way. We'll touch briefly on our legislative priorities. First one is key infrastructure. A couple of asks from the state. One of them is to fund the construction or part of the construction of the River Grove pedestrian bridge. You may know this, but in the 1960s, State Route 410 was built. It kind of divided the city into two, and the River Grove neighborhood, which is on the south side of the freeway, was cut off. So this adds a pedestrian bridge across 410 to connect that back to the historic downtown core. The second one is we're on the short list for some funding to renovate the Ryan House. The Ryan House is a historical home that's been in the city since the late 1800s. And then also we have a partner ask. You may know that Pierce County Library System is in the process of designing a new library in Sumner, and they have some funding asked through the state as well. And then what that'll do is when they build the library, it'll move from its existing location across from McClendon's down to across from Fred Meyer on Main Street. And actually, I just noticed Gretchen Casarati's here, the Pierce County Library Executive Director. She's been great to work with, and we're excited for that. The next priority is really supporting local decision making. Water rights is very important to us. We're at one of the pilot projects for the state, and we want them to adopt the recommendations. Also, the Public Works Trust Fund, we want the state to restore that. What that allows us to do is to borrow money at a very low interest rate for public projects, and that's important with all the infrastructure needs that we have as well as the region. And then, we're very supportive of affordable housing, but we also want to make sure that we remain in control of our destiny. We want that local authority to make sure that it fits our community and our vision for the community. And if you're not aware, the state is really pushing to try to take over that control and authority. So I want to maintain that if possible. And then lastly, I know this is important to everybody, police reforms, right? First and foremost, fix the blanket decision, right? Recriminalize drug possession, provide access to necessary treatment, fix the pursuit law. We already had a very restrictive pursuit policy to start. But what the legislature has done is made it even more restrictive, and it's definitely feeling the lawlessness in our community because of it. So our vision is to set the standard of excellence for a progressive city. And we've done a lot of things over the last couple of years that I think are very progressive for a city of 11,000. First, we were one of the first cities in Pierce County to implement body-worn cameras with our police department. And I apologize, I don't have them in front of me, so I gotta turn around and look. Second is the online permitting system. So like y'all, we went to online permits about a year ago now. It's been very, very well received. And just like y'all, if you have a question about permits, we're still available. You can still come in and talk to us. But I'll be honest with you, over almost 100% of our permits come in online now, and it really helps expedite the process. Online utility pay, we implemented new utility payment software that allows you to set up things like budget pay and auto pay, things that we weren't able to do before. Sumner Alert. This is an emergency alert system that Puyallup is also done. There's this called Puyallup Alert. Bonnie Lake is Bonnie Lake Alert. You can figure it out, right? All the cities in Pierce County just put their city name in there and then it's alert. But what's great about this is it allows for real-time notification of an emergency. So when we had our Main Street fire a couple months ago, we were able to send out push notifications to cell phones to, order people, ask people to stay out of the area and provide real-time updates. Community court, this is something that we benefited from. We got a grant through AOC, which is the Office of Courts for the state, to run a community court. I know Puyallup's been running a community court for a number of years, but typically cities our size are too small to be able to maintain this. And this allows people with low-level misdemeanor offenses to get treatment rather than jail time, and it's been very successful so far. And we bought some more goats. They're our staff multiplier. So we use goats and sheep to maintain our storm ponds. This actually saves us quite a bit on labor because then we don't have to hire as many seasonal employees. We put the goats in there, they eat, we move them, they eat more, and we repeat. Lastly, on your table, we have a one-page flyer about keeping in touch. There's a lot of ways to stay engaged with the city. I encourage you to take a moment, sign up for our e-news, visit our real-time project pages. So if there's a big construction project in the city, you can get weekly updates about what we're doing, what streets are impacted, etc. Take a look at also our socials on there. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Windish, and he's going to go over some development projects. Before I do that, though, I just do want to, once again, thank you for being part of the community. This is a great area. Puyallup and Sumner, we are more alike than we are different, and it's just an amazing time to be in this region.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here again, and I'm going to get the fun job of going through so much of what we're working on, and I promise I won't go through all 48 projects that Public Works is working on. The first thing I want to talk about is how the slide thing works. All right, you can't see this real well, but what this photo behind me is Nights on Ryan. It's a night market in downtown Sumner. It's one of 24 events that the city, in partnership with our Sumner Main Street Association, puts on every year. So if you're looking for something to do, you're running out of things to do in Puyallup, be sure and click on our events page, the events page of the Sumner Main Street Association, and they can direct you to some fun things coming up. Last year we asked ourselves, what can we do to fill some of the empty storefronts downtown? And what can we do to get more restaurants and eating establishments in town, because people are always asking for those options. So we used some ARPA money. The council voted to do a grant program, and I always say issued, you can tell I come from the permit world. We awarded several grants, 3 restaurant grants, one to a wine bar, one to the Urban Oxbow Kitchen, Valley Social Wine Bar, I'm just going to name them, and one more, the Eternal Soul Bowl in downtown. Fantastic. We're going to continue to see those businesses be successful. And we also awarded 2 business grants, one to Ashley's Room, and she's also in downtown Puyallup, by the way. She expanded a store into Sumner, and My Big Sister's Shoes. And then finally, we also awarded a $100,000 grant to the Frying Dutchman to locate a commissary kitchen in Sumner. The goal there being to enhance our food truck industry in Sumner. They're still looking for a location at this time. You know, one of the worst phone calls you can get at 2:30 in the morning if your mayor or city administrator is that your town is on fire. And October 28th, that was the call that our city administrator had to make to our mayor. And I can tell you, it was devastating and it was traumatic, but I can also tell you that the folks in this room are the most resilient and they've got grit. And they are not going anywhere, and they are rebuilding, and the community united around them. Same day of the fire, we had a meeting at 1 o'clock at City Hall to kind of recover a little bit and try to understand what was going on. By 4:30 that afternoon, we were having a homecoming parade, a donation website was already in action, and the Sumner Main Street Association has since collected at least $26,000 to help with the recovery effort. And also within 24 hours, we had arrested the arsonist that was responsible for that fire. Thanks to the outstanding work of our police department and help from our community members who have video footage. What's happening in the future? As I said, we're resilient. Marshall Bennett, the building owner, is determined to rebuild to 4 stories, which is what's allowed in our downtown. And we're also working with the University of Washington Tacoma to look at what could go there in a temporary way. Because, right, they're going to eventually demo the building, and then it'll be a little while before they start construction. So what's going to happen there temporarily? So we're working with the UW students once again on what could happen there temporarily. Other fun and innovative things we're doing, the City Council approved a pilot project, the Sumner Commuter Connector. What this does is it creates a shuttle, last mile shuttle system from Sumner's Sounder Station in our downtown out to those 17,000 jobs in the North End. So far we have Sekisui Aerospace committed and signed up as a partner. We're very close to signing REI, LKQ Automotive, and Amazon, which would be fantastic. And the city's the sponsor of it. There'll still be a $6 fee per ride, and we're hoping that the employers are willing to subsidize that. There are a lot of people that walk, bike, or scooter from the train station to their job in the North End, and this is to help provide that last mile connection. There are 2 things there's more than 2 things, but some of the 2 main things that we hear from businesses in the North End is getting employees, hiring people. And number 2 is getting employees transportation to work. So this is to help solve that problem. A place for all. We know that Washington State is in an affordable housing crisis. Sumner has affordable housing issues as well. We did a housing needs assessment in 2020, and 37% of our renters are cost burdened, which means they're paying more than 30% of their income towards the housing where they live. Median price for a house in Sumner right now, it's actually down a little bit from 2021, but it's still $500,000. Rents are still high. So the city adopted a housing action plan in 2021, prioritized 14 actions, and have been working diligently on expanding the capacity for housing in Sumner, expand our multifamily tax exemption area so that we have coming online 33 affordable units in one of our new projects, which is really exciting. We also have increased incentives for senior housing. And finally, we're doing something innovative called zero lot line subdivisions, which basically allows you to subdivide a lot underneath a townhouse. It's attached to another townhouse. Creates a great entry-level potential for first-time home buyers in that kind of a situation. So council's been doing a ton of work, and staff's been doing a ton of work on affordable housing. I'm not going to go into a lot of details about permit activity, but industrial and commercial was on fire in 2021, not the least of which was some of the development that our friends at Tarragon were doing at Seaport North, which I'll talk a little bit more about on the next slide. Multifamily in 2022 way outpaced single family in 2021, and that has to do with another page I'll show you, how much development we're going to see in multifamily in the next couple of years. Suffice it to say, our planning team of just about 5 or 6 people, they're hopping and they're making things happen. We're proud of them. So, what's going on at Seaport North? Nordstrom, we heard a little bit about that. What is going on? Nordstrom, that is so cool. Nordstrom has a facility up there, it's like 500,000 square feet, and it's all climate controlled. We talked to folks at Tarragon, they'll tell you, this is nothing they've ever seen before. It's so Nordstrom, right? They also have 40,000 square feet of office space, which we're also super excited about. And if you've gone down Stewart Road lately, you'll see the big Nordstrom sign, and you'll also see several more buildings that have been tilted up and are under construction by Tarragon. New multifamily. I've been talking about multifamily development in Sumner a few different times coming here in front of you folks, and things are finally coming out of the ground. In East Sumner, the East Main Street apartments being developed by Timberlane. It's 166 units. 33 of those will be affordable. They have gone vertical. If you drive by there, you will see buildings coming out of the ground. Other project that's under construction right now is C.C. Edwards. They're building 36 townhomes. And then infra permits the Kincaid Avenue mixed use, which is the famous and infamous Red Apple Market site. They're in for permits. And so things are continuing to roll. Total of 640 units coming online here in the next several years. That's about a 15% increase in our population when those finally get occupied. Pretty exciting. I'll talk about a few of our public works projects. The Wood and Main intersection, we talked about this one before. It's finally going under construction this year. If you've ever driven through there, I'm sure you bounce through there because it's so rough. And the pedestrian amenities aren't great. And so what this will do is clean that all up, make it nice, make it modern, and also creates a nice gateway entrance to our historic downtown. Another project, not a city project, but it's the Sound Transit Garage, continues to be working its way through whatever process the Sound Transit finds to work it through. And we are hoping that it's under construction this year or next and completed in a couple years after that. It's a 4.5-story garage, 500 net parking spaces, and we are hoping they continue to fund it, which we have a meeting on Thursday that we're going to check out to make sure that this just continues to move forward, because it's going to be needed in the future. Not to go on and on, but the White River Restoration and Habitat Project. This is a massive and legacy project that the city's been working on in partnership with a number of different entities, not the least of which is Burlington Northern Santa Fe, Cascade Water Alliance, Puyallup and Muckleshoot Tribes of Indians. And this will create habitat for the endangered salmon that's in the river, but also will create an opportunity for flood control or flood diversion, if you will, away from our industrial area. The White River has slowly been filling up with gravel and sediment, and this is the answer to that. Basically, we're building a floodplain that will be pretty amazing when it's all done. The partnership with Burlington Northern Santa Fe, they are going to build a 10-track siding yard along the existing railroad tracks. They're going to do all the excavation because they need the dirt to fill the tracks, raise them. And so that's part of the partnership. There's like 5 or 6 agreements. Our attorney head has been spending over the last several years trying to get all that together. Library, our partners at the library, we have a site that the city actually purchased and then sold it to the library. It's 1.67 acres on East Main Street. They have an open house and workshop coming up on January 31st to talk about what that library could be. They're talking about a 15 to 20,000 square foot facility costing 15 to 19 million dollars. These are expensive, and looking at doing a bond issue for that. So really, they're also looking for donations. Now, I don't know if that means there's a naming opportunity there, like naming rights, but anyway, they're also looking for donations. So check that out with the library. And finally, well, not quite finally, but one more. This is a huge project. This project has been in the works for 30 years, $35 million. This is the bridge on Stewart Road to become wider and higher, accommodate traffic and floodwater. And so this is going to start under construction, probably spring of 2024, but we're awarding the contract in in fall of 2023. Super excited about having that funded. Second to last. Heritage Park downtown and alley activation. A couple years ago, the city did a Main Street visioning process utilizing the University of Washington Tacoma urban design studio class, and came up with some plans. And one of them was to activate our alleys in the downtown, create a place where you could have event space, and also enhancing the area around Heritage Park into what's called a Wooner. And a Wooner is not a Dr. Seuss character. A Wooner is called a living street, and basically creating a plaza type effect that is under construction now, slated to be done before our big event season in the summer, so we're excited about that. Also working on a new design for Heritage Park and the alleys, the detailed design for the alley activation aspect of it. And we're doing an open house tomorrow night from 4 to 6 at Electric Coffee to talk about that. So if you want to come down, I encourage you to come down if you have any interest in this project and make comments on the plans. And finally, 410, SR 410 166. As a resident of Sumner, when I meet people, there's a couple things they ask me about. This is definitely one of them. When are you going to fix this intersection? Well, probably not until like 2027, but we have designs that we're working on, have funding for design. And it's a complex project, not the least of which is moving Salmon Creek around and acquiring property. So while it looks like a figure-8 racetrack, it will be much safer when it's finally completed. And so thank you for having me here this afternoon. I'm going to turn this over to our police chief, Mr. Moran.
With so much going on, all this development, it clearly indicates that these two progressive cities is where people want to live, work, and play, right? And my name is Brad Morkey. I have the privilege of being the police chief in Sumner, and I say privilege because it truly is a privilege. Like Scott, I come from a place of gratitude and service. A couple of quick things, just to wrap this up. The state of policing in Sumner, we're no different than anybody else, folks. Big or small, we all have the same, issues that we face. Our officers, like your businesses, we're recovering from this pandemic. We're recovering from legislation imposed on officers that tended to demoralize and limit their actions to keep their efforts to keep our community safe. But we're recovering, right? We have to learn to handle hard better. Life throws you a curveball, learn to hit a curveball. Anyway, so I'm encouraging our officers to get out there. Let's regain that connection with our community. Personal engagement, less phone reports, which was a thing of the pandemic, right? And get back to proactive policing. Jason mentioned staffing turnover, right? 2021, 2022, years of the big resignation. We lost some good people. We need to keep up with that. Hiring's a challenge. And there's a profound lack of resources out there to deal with homelessness, mental health, and substance use disorder. All things which coincidentally probably affect you and your business, right? They affect downtown cores. They affect business, trespass, retail theft, loitering. Affects your businesses and the quality of life in our downtown cores. With that, no call is too Scott knows this, he reiterated, call us. Stay engaged with your police departments, business and retail theft prevention programs. Let us know what's going on, because if we don't know what's going on, we sure as hell can't fix it. So stay engaged, be our eyes and ears. Like Scott said, it's a partnership. And my last plug and personal request to you all is get involved in the legislative process. In 2021, we were inactive bystanders, right? We just watched this thing happen in front of us. Let your voice be heard. Yesterday's chamber advocate sent out instructions. This is how you can register your opinion on a piece of legislation that's in committee. Let it be heard. Whether you're pro or con, do something, because nothing's not going to fix the problem. And thank you for wearing blue and for your support. I'm truly grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, City of Sumner. Smaller in size, but plenty going on.